This episode is brought to you by DistroKid.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
Hey everybody, today's guest is Elyse Rogers, lead vocalist for the Berkeley, California ska punk band, Dancehall Crashers. Together we break down the writing, recording, and inspiration behind the fan favorite single, Lost Again, taken from their 1997 album, Honey, I'm Homely. I say lead vocalist, but Elyse shares vocal duties with Karina Denicky, who we had here on Krista Makes a Podcast back in March of 2021. The harmonies between Elyse and Karina are what the band are known for. Yes, there's your standard thirds and fifths harmonies, but Karina will also go for those odd notes, or jazz harmonies as I like to call them, that really separates them from the pack. And the rest of the band, well, they're rippers too, all brought together by producer Stoker. The production is crisp and clean, and the vocals, pure pop bliss. Not surprisingly, the basic tracks were cut together, because this sounds exactly like the band does live. And speaking of live, the band are back together playing shows, and this is some of the best news I've heard all year. So put on your dancing shoes, and let's get lost again.
Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista Makes a Podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista Makes a Podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista Makes a Podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista Makes a Podcast.
All right, Elise, this is great. You're here.
I'm here.
Almost 4 years after Karina was here on March 1st of 2021 to talk about Go. And we got you on today to talk about arguably one of my favorite Dancehall Crasher songs, Lost Again.
Cool. Well, it is great to be here with you, Chris.
Yeah, and as everyone, I'm sure, if you're a ska punk fan, you know that Dancehall Crashers has formally announced getting back together. I'm not going to call it a reunion. I like to say you guys never broke up. You just laid dormant for a couple years.
Well, we didn't. To be fair, we didn't actually ever break up.
See?
You know, there were nobody got in fights. No, there wasn't. We didn't even know that our last show was our last show. We just started doing other things, you know? So we just took a really long break.
And you've been one of those, and I say this with complete admiration. Every band has one, but you've always been the organized managerial person. So you've been, within Dancehall Crashers, completely busy, and outside of the band. And, we know Karina and the other guys have been busy. But, I loved revisiting this track and combing through it. I noticed, and I didn't realize this off the bat, that you worked with Stoker again, who produced Lockjaw.
Yeah, we loved him.
I know Karina talked about him at length and how much you guys loved him, and I love where he comes from. He was a member of Dexy's Midnight Runners. He was also in General Public. I love his production here. And why did you work with him on this record? And I say that not as a knock against him. I think Lockjaw sounds great. I like all your recordings, even your early stuff. But a lot of times when bands don't sell 3 million records, they'll hop producers. And you stuck loyal to Stoker. How'd that come about?
We just really liked him, right? Like, I think that it's not all producers are musicians, as you know. When they are, I think it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier for them to articulate what it is they're trying to hear or what they want to hear differently. There are producers who can say, hey, what about this, and play something, right? And there are producers who can say, hey, can you just make that sound bigger? You're like, okay, please articulate, right?
Right.
So I think we just really got along with them. We were really comfortable with them in the studio. And I think that, I don't know that it was ever truly our intent to sell 3 million records, right? Like
Right.
when we started doing this, it was all sort of this beautiful, happy accident. I went to UC Berkeley because I wanted to be Secretary of State, and they had the #1 poli-sci department in the country, right?
Right.
Like it was a very strange detour for me to become the lead singer of Dancehall Crashers, right?
Okay.
And then to become the manager, and then start a management company, and then start managing all these other bands. So I got very derailed in my academic nerdiness,
Sure.
But I think all along the way, dancehall just did what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it. There were many songs, Lost Again included, written about our, displeasure with, major labels and, and everything else that comes along with that. There's good and bad to everything, right?
Sure.
And I say this with the utmost respect, and having been an executive at Warner, in various ways for 10 years too. Like I've been on both sides of it. And so, I think that if you are truly trying to sell 3 million records, you're probably not writing songs that are negative about your label.
Gotcha. Well, okay. And thanks for setting that up. And I want to clarify, that wasn't the band's, I would say, intentions. But when you're on a major label, the pencil pushers, the people, the suits we call them, they're back there trying to sell all these records. And a lot of times the A&R person will come in and say, hey, the last record didn't perform. Like, maybe we get another producer. And I love that you work with him again, because there was nothing wrong with his productions on either record. It still sounds fantastic to these ears.
Thank you. We appreciate that. I think all along our intention, and still is to have fun. And if we're not having fun, we don't want to do it anymore. If it sounds like it's going to be fun, we'll do it. Like, it's really that simple.
Mm-hmm. Well, and fun was what the band was all about. I had, if you want to hear the stories, go listen to the episode with Karina. I talked about playing with you guys back in the day, and just that fan on the side of the stage watching you. It was absolutely infectious. Lost Again is from your third album, Honey, I'm Homely, released on September 9th, 1997. I'll say it again. It was around that time we played up in Sacramento at some crazy radio show. I got to hear my favorite song ever, Mr. Blue, performed that day. We're not breaking that down because we went with Lost Again, but I wanted to give honorable mention to that song. I absolutely love it.
You should have just told me which song you wanted to go over. Instead of asking, right?
No, I sent to Chris. Lost Again was one of the ones I sent to my producer. But I wanted to ask, was this mixed by Stoker as well? I know Tim Palmer engineered the mix.
No, Tim Palmer mixed it.
Tim mixed it. Okay. And Tim's another Englishman who's went on to work with everybody. He did a couple Ozzy Osbourne records and everything in between. The record was recorded at Fantasy in Berkeley and NRG in North Hollywood. Was Lockjaw done there as well? Both spots.
Yes.
Okay, great. Your last full length was Purr in 1999. Hopefully we get some more music from you guys. But let's jump into the track. Lost Again's 3 minutes and 24 seconds. We get a 10-bar intro. Upstroke guitar and these ooh vocals for 6 bars. On bar 7, a lone kick drum and a snare hit happen. And then right then, before the kick drum comes in with the bass, there's this, like, I don't know if it's a delay from the ooh vocal, Elise, that little ooh that's happening. It almost sounds like a toy piano gets struck there and rings out. Do you know what I'm talking about?
My God, I'm trying so hard to remember what you're talking about. No, I don't. God, Chris, it was so long ago. I
know. And you know what's so funny is not every, but a lot of guests will come on here and say, I guess I should have listened to my own song before I came in here. And who does that? I always say that. We don't drive. Yeah, you listen to your own stuff when you get the mixes back. 10 years later, you're not driving down the road listening to yourself. But yes, there is some kind of ambiance there, like a note, a keyboard note, maybe a horn note that gets hit and there's a reverb on it. It's really cool. This is followed by that lone kick drum and bass guitar. On bar 9, we get a drum flam and the old pick slide left, panning all the way over to the right. And then we get into verse 1. I got to tell you, going back and listening to these records, Jason, guitar player, he never gets talked about in ska circles. Arguably one of the best tones, and he plays with such a distinct style. It's somewhere between upstroke ska, but there's rockabilly and rock and roll in there.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's some like Chuck Berry in there,
Chuck
right?
Berry,
Like,
yes.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
Jason's an incredible player. I agree with you.
No, he doesn't get talked about, and darn it, I'm going to talk about him during this episode. What's going on with the
Good. Let's do it.
What's going on with the guitars is absolutely fantastic. And for those that don't know, his brother Gavin is the drummer, and there's something about siblings in a band. I've talked about this before. I'm wearing the Interrupters hoodie. It's like you can't get tighter than siblings. There's something about that DNA, that bloodline, but it's just amazing. Verse 1, Elise, I'm going to read all of verse 1, and if you don't mind letting the listeners know what was going on in your head almost 30 years ago. All right, here we go. Lost again. Somebody tell me how to get there, because I can't take another handshake or another blank stare. Thought I knew what I had to do to get through to you. Guess your head is thicker than I thought. I'm starting to think that it might be you, because I know you've got a lot of things and people you look to. Do you believe that I will never see what you're doing to me? I'll keep smiling till the door closes behind me.
I mean, could there, right? It's like your lead track on your major label release, right? I think that the music business is truly a business, right? And I think having all of these now years of experience being in literally every single side of it, it is a business, and record labels and majors, I think, in particular, who answer to shareholders, not so much indies, right? But when you really get into like the depths of what is this business, what's driving this business, right? How do they actually make profits and report to shareholders? Like, it is no joke. Mm-hmm. So as you think about it from the artist side, where you're like, God, I'm trying to have fun and create art and do something really cool in the world. I don't want to say it's at odds with commerce, because you can really hit it and get super lucky and make a label a ton of money from it, but it's not always the same thing, right? And I think that this isn't a dance hall story. I would say this happens with just about any artist you ever talk to. If you're having a real conversation and you're not doing press and it's off the record, if you have a real conversation and God, I would say it's probably a universal experience, to be honest, because every artist is trying to create amazing art and have fun with it and create something meaningful for fans. Not through any faults. I don't even fault labels for the behavior. I do fault some executives who are just absolutely terrible, right? There are definitely like really good people at labels and really just terrible people at labels from an artist relations experience, right?
Yeah.
And so I do think that it should be more the responsibility of the labels to make sure that the people who are actually talking to the artists have enough emotional intelligence, to not completely demoralize them, right?
Right.
But I think in terms of the business, it's a business. They are trying to convince you and get you to do things a certain way so that they can sell a bunch of records for you, right? And make a bunch of money. So I think it really depends on your mindset of like, are you going into a situation? And I would say I had these conversations being on the label side of like, are you trying to, like when deciding if an artist should come to, the label that I'm at, like, do you want to have fun and make an art project, or do you want to be a global superstar? Because those are two very different routes, right?
Yes.
Very different routes. And what's expected of you is going to be really, really different. And depending on the answer, this might not be the right label for you, right? So I think with any artist, the advice that I give is really understand what you're getting into and what you want out of it. Right. Mm-hmm. Which is hard to do when you're 18 years old because you don't know anything. Right.
I was just going to say, gosh, when you're 22, you said 18. I mean, yeah, you don't know. And you got someone dangling the keys of the kingdom, or what you think are the keys of the kingdom. Yeah. And man, you hit on something so great too, Elise, when you said there's a big difference between just, being a working artist and being Taylor Swift. I mean, it's not many people get to go to that other spot. It's a very, very coveted spot. So basically what you're saying here is your first track on your record's kind of sticking it back to where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, verse one, we get drums, bass, and a stereo image of that upstroke ska guitar. It's panned right and left. Great tone, clean, but broke enough, just enough to be mean. We get a lot of harmonies, which you guys are known for. What dance hall is known for. Harmony on I Can't Take Another Handshake or Another Blank Stare. We also get a harmony on Guess Your Head is Thicker Than I Thought. A harmony on I Know You've Got a Lot of Things and People You Look To. And a harmony on I'll Keep Smiling Till the Door Closes Behind Me. On the line, Guess Your Head is Thicker Than I Thought. Halfway through, a pair of stereo guitars accent this line. It starts off as eighth note chugs and opens up on the back half. That also happens on the last line before we get into chorus one. Something else here. I called my producer driving home this morning from dropping my kids off. I've listened to this song 100 times. I've listened to it a million times in my life, but 100 times the past couple of days, going over and over. And Stoker did something really interesting here. I swear I'm hearing overdub percussion, a shaker on the right-hand side, pretty much going through this song, but it almost sounds like it's the hi-hat, and I'm wondering why the hi-hat's panned over to the right. It's very interesting. Again, you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but it's very cool.
That is awesome. You should do one of these with Stoker, right?
You're going to take my word. Elise is going to take my word for it. There is some crazy overdub percussion. You know, those little nuances, the percussion, we're going to talk about in a little bit where the tambourine and when it comes in. I don't know. I get this vibe that Stoker was just kind of someone that would try things. You know, he just was, let's put this on and see if it works. It adds to the fun of this track and the fun of what the band's all about. Chorus one.
I know where I wanna go, but I just don't know, no, I just don't know how to get there. I know where I wanna go, but I just don't know, no, I just don't know how to get there.
I know where I want to go, but I just don't know. No, I just don't know how to get there. I know where I want to go, but I just don't know. No, I just don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you going to say about that? It kind of says says what it says.
I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, right? I think it's finding the path, right? Like how can you be an artist, have, you know, a great relationship with your label, who are your partners, frankly. Like you don't want to be arguing with your partner. You want to figure out how to have the most productive relationship that you can so that everybody can win. So I think it's I think it's just trying to thread the needle of how do you stay true to yourself? How do you create the kind of art and music that you want to make? How do you continue to have fun? How do you, you know, sort of lead your friends down this path that is going to continue to be fun for the next several years, right? Without being frustrated by it. So one thing that I did just want to go back to when you were talking about the percussion, another person I think often underrated, Gavin, right?
Yes.
Gavin is like a human metronome. Gavin never misses. He's absolutely incredible. Like we are so fortunate, I think, in our band that like all five, like just great musicians, right? Mm-hmm. And so Stoker, absolutely amazing. But I mean, not that I'm going to pretend to remember exactly who thought of the idea, but I do think that the band thinks of a lot of ideas too. Like I think Gavin comes up with really cool stuff. Jason always comes up with cool stuff. Mikey's, you know, just a bomb, right?
I love that you said that though, because you're giving props to your band. Your band's great.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, they are. And I mean bomb in the best possible way, right? Mm-hmm. Like that was a compliment, you know, might want to phrase that, but it is, you know, like they're just absolutely great players, which makes it, I mean, that was frankly what made us able to be able to come back after 20 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we'll get into that later, but we couldn't have done it if everybody weren't fantastic musicians and players, because could you imagine the amount of work that would have to go into it if you weren't, you know? Well,
and I got to thinking, you know, don't take this the wrong way. I'm wondering why these guys, but when you were all being promoted, you had two pretty front ladies out there in the front. It's no wonder why the other guys in the band didn't really get noticed. It's no fault to them, but it's just what happened. This chorus, it is the chorus of the song. It comes in again twice later on, but this almost feels like a pre-chorus to me. The chorus, really the verses, because you get the title of the song, Lost Again, and that's what's crazy about ska. Sometimes it's like, well, what is the chorus? It's all fun, Yeah. But some cool stuff going on here. The drums go halftime on the first line, I Know Where I Want to Go. Drums, bass, and stereo guitars are all in here. The stereo guitars are just ringing out these big power chords on that first line. Then a killer loud overdub guitar panned off right comes in playing an upstroke riff mixed with that rockabilly, old rock and roll stuff that goes on there. Do you remember much about that? Because you're a live band. You guys have one guitar player, a bassist. You're basically a power trio with two vocalists. Do you remember recording off the floor? Did you record basic tracks and then do overdubs? Or did you just start with the drums alone? Do you remember?
We would usually start together. Yeah, we would usually start together. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't go like one at a time. Like we were in, we were in big rooms in Fantasy, which is the coolest old studio that had so much old gear. Like you talk about, like, how do we get all these really cool, sounds? Like Jason's incredible. We also had the coolest gear that we were working with, So we would try to do as much live as we could.
Okay, yeah, and I just love where this overdub guitar I was just speaking of sits in the mix. It's all the way cranked over to the right, and it just really, really sticks out in how it's EQ'd. It's awesome. Double lead vocals in this chorus, and we also get harmonies on But I Just Don't Know. No, I Just Don't Know How to Get There on the first half, and that same harmony on the back half. Out of chorus 1, we get a 4-bar re-intro to set up verse 2. Kick drum and bass guitar with a shaker panned hard right. Halfway through, we get a full band hit with horn stabs. And on the third time, we get a dun-dunt with the whole band, and we get a different pick slide, mostly panned off left here. It's not the same pick slide. I love that because I'm assuming you guys, this is late 96, 97, you recorded this. So this was recorded to tape.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything we've done has been recorded to tape.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then right after you hear that pick slide, we get a shaker flutter. I don't know how he did this. I don't think it was manual. Did he run it through a delay? And do you know what I'm talking about?
I know the shaker. Do I remember exactly what he ran it through to get that cool effect? I do not. Right?
It is really neat. It's cool. I listened to it over and over and over again. I can't tell I don't think it was played that way. It'd be almost impossible.
Almost.
Unless it was sped up with a tape machine or something. But it's a really, really cool effect to take us in to verse 2.
Lost again, somebody tell me how to get there. If I hit another detour, I'm afraid that I won't care. Who'd have thought that I'd have fought the expectations? That gold road probably just leads straight to hell. And once I'm there, are you gonna care or conveniently look away? I don't think I want us to fall up and down that way. Do you believe that I never see what you're doing to me? I'll keep smiling till the door closes behind me. I know.
Lost again. Somebody tell me how to get there. If I hit another detour, I'm afraid that I won't care. Who'd have thought that I'd have bought the expectations? The gold road probably just leads straight to hell. And once I'm there, are you going to care or conveniently look away? I don't think I want us to fall off and die that way. Do you believe that I never see what you're doing to me? I'll keep smiling till the door closes behind me.
I mean, there's so many examples of this. I say it's the universal experience because it truly is, and unless you're on an indie. Let's say it's universal experience for any artist that's had any sort of semblance of success in needing to do promotion. There are just times where it feels awful. I mean, I'm sure you did the Billy documentary. Did you watch that?
Yes.
It was
yes.
amazing.
Yeah.
But there's this one scene where it's after a show and suddenly she has to do this like executive meet and greet and she's just bummed, right? And it like in that moment, it was so interesting to me because I love the documentary, but like in that moment, like I literally like my heart just like stopped for her, right? Of just like the memory of that exact feeling, right? Of like, okay, I have to do this right now. God, I don't feel like doing this right now. Just go do it. This is the job. This is what you signed up for, right? And I think people don't recognize it. And I say this very little for me because clearly we, sort of decided not to do it and went on and kind of fought it the whole way. But when you think of all of these big artists that seem like they have these incredibly glamorous lives, what I think people don't realize is the amount of work that goes into it, right? And the amount of days where they don't feel like doing the meet and greet with this radio station. They don't feel like recording 300 liners that day. They don't feel like, creating more TikTok content that everybody's telling them they have to do in order to have success. And the amount of work that goes in just emotionally, mentally, physically for all of your favorite artists that you see in the world, right? Like it is such a hard job for them, And I have so much respect for artists that become really successful because it means that not only are they really talented, but they've also done all the work and pushed themselves through all of these just sometimes infuriating experiences that they have to go through as part of the process. There's like a bit of that. Did you read Mark Hoppus's book that just came out?
I haven't read it yet. No.
God.
I want to check it out.
It is so good.
Yeah,
I'm
I
so
bet.
proud of him. It's really, really good.
Well, he and Mark's a great example. I told Mark not too long ago. I said, "Man, you get what you get with you, man." And this is after he had his cancer, battle. We had talked, and I said, "You're still the same old Mark," and he thanked me for that. And I meant that. It's hard. Pour on unlimited funds of money and substance abuse and everything else that comes with this, and and you can see it. I mean, how many videos, TikToks or Instagrams do we see of TMZ following some around? And I saw one with Jack Black the other day. He's someone that gets it. They're harassing him at a Ralph's. He's at a grocery store buying kitty litter or whatever. Yeah. He's just another human being. And but he gets it. They're in his face with the camera and he's just Jack Black. Other people want to, Tommy Lee wants to punch the camera out. Yeah. But I get both sides.
Totally.
And going back to what you said earlier, we're not dealing with well-adjusted adults. These are sometimes 21, 22-year-old kids that, have been handed the gold keys.
Hey, everybody, don't go anywhere. We got lots more coming up with Elyse Rogers after a few words from our sponsors.
Looking to elevate your music career? DistroKid is a digital music distribution service that enables musicians to distribute their music to online stores and streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments, sending them to you, the artist. With DistroKid, artists unlock a world of possibilities. From easily paying collaborators with splits, to securing your music with DistroLock, DistroKid covers all bases. Plus, you can promote your releases with Hyperfollow and create eye-catching visuals with a Spotify Canvas generator, all for free. But that's not all. Introducing the DistroKid app, now available on iOS and Android. Artists can manage their releases, view streaming stats, and withdraw earnings, all from the palm of their hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. With its simple interface and customizable mastering options, artists can make their music sound polished and professional within minutes. And don't forget about Instant Share, DistroKid's newest feature. Share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more, ensuring your music streams at the highest quality. Ready to take your music to the next level? Download the DistroKid app and explore their suite of tools today. Plus, listeners can enjoy 30% off their first year by visiting distrokid.com/VIP/demakes. That's distrokid.com/VIP/demakes.
Hey guitar lovers, what if I told you that this fall you could escape to the Catskills and spend 4 days learning from the greatest Telecaster players on the planet? Introducing Masters of the Telecaster, happening September 29th through October 3rd at the beautiful Full Moon Resort in Big Indian, New York, just 2.5 hours from New York City. You'll get up close and personal with guitar legends like Guthrie Trapp, Larry Campbell, G.E. Smith, Carolyn Wonderland, Cindy Cash Dollar, and many more. These icons have played with everyone from Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson to Norah Jones and Mick Jagger. It's an all-inclusive, once-in-a-lifetime music vacation featuring world-class instruction, gourmet meals, gorgeous accommodations, and jam sessions in the heart of the Catskills. And no, you don't need to own a Telecaster to come. All skill levels are welcome, and scholarships are available through Music Masters Collective. Space is extremely limited, so grab your spot now. mastersoftetelecaster.org/the500. Once again, that's mastersoftetelecaster.org/the500. I'll see you there. I might go.
Get your saddest songs together and get ready for a decidedly not sad time at Sad Song Summer Camp, July 15th through the 18th at Full Moon Resort in the Catskills. Join the Milk Carton Kids, Joe Henry, Paper Wings, and more for an unforgettable musical experience just 2.5 hours from New York City. Whether you're a songwriter or a fan, this all-inclusive retreat offers immersive classes, performances, and the chance to step beyond backstage. Every participant gets hands-on time with the artists to fine-tune their songwriting, plus immersive classes and evening performances in a stunning mountain setting. Spots are extremely limited. Learn more and register now at www.sadsongsummercamp.com/demakes.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Save $100 on the Craftsman V20 6-tool Power Tool Combo Kit, now at $199. No matter what the project is, Craftsman's high-quality, high-performance products empower you to build on. Stop by your nearest Lowe's store and check out the full line of Craftsman tools today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, I'm Chris Fafalius, producer of Chris to Makes a Podcast, and also host of One Hit Thunder. Each week on the One Hit Thunder podcast, we take a look into a one-hit wonder band or artist to determine if they deserved more success or if they were lucky to even have a hit at all. We've covered When in Rome, Jaquan, Shanice, Yellow, Squirrel Nut Zippers, Jesus Jones, Positive K, Mazzy Star, and hundreds more. With new episodes every Wednesday and special guests from the worlds of music and comedy, we always have nonstop fun, and maybe, if we're lucky, we discover some new favorite music. So if you love great songs and you often find yourself asking, whatever happened to that band? Check out One Hit Thunder wherever you get your podcasts.
What are you doing? You're a different girl, but I don't know. What are you
And now, back to the show.
Verse 2. I love that it starts off with the first line being the same lyric. Lost again, somebody tell me how to get there. And I think that is the title of the song. And I think it's cool that lyric happens 2 times. If I hit another detour, I'm afraid that I won't care. We get a harmony on that line. A harmony on that gold road probably just leads straight to hell. A harmony on I don't think I want us to fall off and die that way. And a final harmony, and I'll keep smiling till the door closes behind me. Pretty much the same instrumentation as verse 1. Those stereo guitars come in halfway through, and they also come in on the last line. But halfway through on verse 2, we get those oohs that come back from the intro. To your recollection, was the oohs at the top first, or were they in the verse first and you decided to throw them in the intro?
They were in the top first.
They were. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And as far as demos, were you all demoing at this point before you went to the studio? And do you remember there's a demo of Lost Again?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We would always demo before we went in. Partially because you have limited time in these huge studios and it's expensive, right? It's like you better have it together and know what you're doing, and having worked the kinks out already. And it also just gives your producer, a chance to come up with cool ideas,
The reason I asked that, everybody has a home setup now, or at least they have their voice recorder on their phone. They're sending demos around with the band. We didn't have that luxury back when we were talking about this. So I've talked to some bands on here. I said, did you cut a demo? They're just like, no, we just go out to our mosquito-ridden, beer-soaked cigarette practice spot, and we'd rehearse for 10 hours a day leading up to going in and recording, and then we'd suss it out there. But do you remember if there was any changes? Was Stoker really involved with arrangement changes and such, or do you think the demo was pretty much intact to what was recorded here?
We'd gotten really far along with a demo, so it wasn't so much arrangement, and it wasn't ever writing. I think it was more effects and cool sounds and what about this, try this. But the songs themselves were pretty solid already when we would go in.
I kind of thought you were going to say that, because when I go listen to your initial recordings as Dance Hall before you got in the big studio with the producers, the band was tight. I mean, the vocals were always there, but the band, the tones were there. I mean, I think I like Lockjaw and Honey, I'm Homely production wise better than that stuff, but it's not too far off. It's really good. Out of verse 2, we go straight into chorus 2, same basic instrumentation as chorus 1, but we're joined by a nice loud tambourine here. Not in chorus 1, and that's a little unusual. Usually, here's the chorus, all the tambourines are in all of them. I love things like that. They're just
you gotta build.
Chorus 2, halfway through, we also get this big drum tom fill, and I can't tell if it's an overdub or if Gavin actually played that. There's something about the way that it's played. I'm like, gosh, is that an overdub? Do you want to mention again, the harmony placement is the same in chorus 2. And then we get into a 16-bar guitar solo. And you said Chuck Berry. This is old time rock and roll. Do the duck walk. Chuck Berry play this part. When Jason went to cut the guitar track, and you can tell he's a player, he's great. Did they do a bunch of takes? Was he the kind of guy that does a solo and it's like, that's it? Or do you remember Stoker cutting tape and taking this section of the solo and this one?
No, not usually. Not usually. I think with our guys, they're so good that they would be able to capture it all live.
Yeah.
And I think Jason's really solid. It's not like he would go in and play a solo 20 different ways on 20 different takes. You know what I mean? Like, he knows he wants to play. He goes in, he nails it, and we move on.
That's cool. I've met some players that are amazing over the years. And George Lynch is one of them. I don't know him personally, but I've read that he'll play stuff in the studio and he has to go back and relearn it. It's like and I marvel at guys like that. I'm like, what? I have to rehearse my part and go in. If I can't like ad lib, I'm not some improv theater guy. It just doesn't work that way with me. Drums, bass, and the ska guitars are backing up this guitar lead halfway through. Another 50s style guitar plays a run panned off right. That's interesting. You're in a guitar solo and all of a sudden this other little lead comes in over here, and I love that interplay. Do you remember if that was Jason or that was just kind of overdub day, they're having fun?
I think they were having fun. And I think also Tim Palmer, our mixer, he's a beast.
He is. Tim's reputation precedes him. He's awesome. He does do great stuff. And you just said something. I've heard this so many times. I heard it actually from Huey Lewis on here. His mixer, Bob Clearmountain. He was like, yeah, I'm like, what is that? I hear like an off mic vocal. He's like, yeah, I was warming up my voice to get on pitch, and Bob Clearmountain put it in the mix. He thought it was cool, and sometimes that happens with the mixer. It could have been a case here, but yeah, I love that guitar run panned off right. We also there's definitely 3 horn stabs here in this part. There are some horns, and we get a horn swell at the end of this guitar solo to take us into chorus 3. The shakers here, the percussion is awesome. Who played the percussion? Do you remember? Gavin did. Okay. Yeah. And you said it like, duh, Gavin, but believe it or not, I know some amazing drummers, and they'll still bring in the Hollywood Ringer production guy to play the production. So Gavin did all this.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It really is. It's not your typical get in there with a shaker on the one or the tambourine on the one. It's really well thought out parts.
I know where I wanna go, but I just don't know. No, I just don't know how to get there. I know where I wanna go, but I just don't know. No, I just don't know how to get there.
By this point in the song, I mean, the chorus says everything you want it to say. Did you want to get any more information in this third chorus? Do you remember that conversation? Or this is what it is, and by the third chorus, we want the audience to be singing it. We're not changing the lyric.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We want the audience to be singing it.
Cool. This last part, I don't know if you would call this after chorus 3. Is it a post-chorus tag outro? I'm not sure. Maybe
let's call it an outro.
An outro. You guys didn't go with a double chorus here at the end. You decided to do an outro. You could have easily just doubled the chorus and maybe done a fade out or something. Do you remember that being talked about, how you wanted to wrap this up with a little coda?
I'm trying to remember like the exact detail, and it would be disingenuous to say that I remember the exact conversation, but I will say at that point, a double chorus would feel like too much, and we wanted to end it differently.
I'll tell you, this last part is very simple lyric-wise. There's not much going on here, but I love it because it poses a question. I never thought about this before until, and I don't even remember who it was, Elise. I've done like 260 episodes on the show now, but someone had said, when you pose questions in music, it elicits a thinking response from the listener. It's like, duh. I never really, and I zone in on that now. And basically what y'all are saying here is, no, I just don't know how to get there. Do you? You're throwing it back. Do you know how to get there? Yeah. I think it's simple, but it's so effective here. It's do you. There is a lead vocal with a harmony on that, a very subtle harmony, and then we get the response to that do you. Another lead vocal, another response, a lead vocal, a response, a lead, 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 and then you say, tell me if you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you? Tell me if you do.
Right. Like, show me the way.
Okay. Let's talk about that. Did anybody say that in the studio? Hey, this is a cool way to end it. Was that lyric written on the demo? Do you remember?
I'm pretty sure it was written on the demo. That to me felt like the proper ending for the song, right?
Yeah.
Like as you're going through sort of a story arc, right?
Yeah.
And the end is like, clearly lost, asking the question, the answer, like throw it up.
Right on. Well, drums, bass, stereo guitars, tambourine, and shaker are all present here. Don't hear any horns here on the outro, but we get those great vocals, ending it with "Tell me if you do, and the whole song comes to a close. First song on the record. What was the response like when you went out and played this for the first time? And considering this was 1997, had you been playing it before? Because we would go out and play songs. We weren't worried about them winding up on the internet in poor versions before they got recorded. Do you remember playing this before you recorded it?
I don't remember playing it live before we recorded it. But once we did start playing it, it was always sort of a live favorite for people, you know?
Pretty much immediate.
Yeah. No, it was fun to play.
I had mentioned that Purr was your last recorded material in 1999, and I'll say it again. I hope there's some new music on the horizon. So yes, and there's a couple shows coming up in your hometown of San Francisco, June 6th and June 7th. Where are those taking place?
Those are at Great American Music Hall.
Yes.
So, hometown stomping grounds, you know? So yeah, we wanted to do, you know, warm up ahead of doing, you know, the 2 Warped Tour dates that we told Kevin we would do.
Yes.
They're like, we got to do it. We got to do it in, you know, in our hometown. And it's going to be an absolute blast.
Great. And lastly, but before we break, a couple things. Thank you so much for taking the time. As a longtime listener of your band, I'm very excited that you're coming back. I heard there's whispers of rumors that we, you know, besides Warped Tour, there, you know, maybe Less Than Jake could play some shows with you, and it'd be an absolute honor. But anything else?
That would be so fun, Chris.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it. And I wanted to tell you, I've had a number of younger ska bands on here with female vocalists, and they all talk about what an influence. What does that feel like? Bite Me Bambi, Cat Bite, Interrupters, a lot of these bands coming out now that just you're gods to them.
Oh my God. I think it's incredible. You know, I think all 3 of those bands you just mentioned are fantastic, right? So I think it's, you know, it of course feels great to hear that. It's going to be so much fun, you know, to see them. We are going to be having a couple of those mentioned open on shows. We haven't announced support yet, although I think we will by the time this comes out. You probably know. But we're putting Bite Me Bambi on one of the San Francisco shows.
I love it.
But that's going to be amazing. And then Small Crush, which is Jason's daughter, Logan, her band, and they're great.
Oh,
right?
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So it's really cool. But for real, Chris, we should figure out a real plan. If you guys want to play, we should figure out a real plan for that.
I would absolutely love to. And just so you know, Dancehall Crashers have a bunch of stuff coming up. Some stuff we can't talk about just yet, but it's definitely going to happen. And thank you so much for sitting in. Love your band, and I can't wait to play some shows with you.
Thank you.
I'm hurting just by listening to what you've been through. Oh baby, oh what did they do to you? Whoa, Mr. Blue.
Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Elise, a show that wasn't announced yet when we recorded this episode, but is now announced, is Dancehall Crashers are playing at Riot Fest in Chicago. That's amazing. I found out about it from their Instagram, so make sure you add them there. I'm sure they're going to announce all their shows on their Instagram. But don't go anywhere. We got lots more Krista Makes a Podcast coming right up after a few words from our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by eBay. We all have that piece. The one that's so you've basically become known for it. And if you don't yet, fashionistas, you'll find it on eBay. That Miu Miu red leather bomber, the Custo Barcelona cowboy top, or that Patagonia fleece in the 2017 colorway. All these finds are all on eBay, along with millions of more main character pieces backed by Authenticity Guarantee. eBay is the place for pre-loved and vintage fashion. eBay, things people love.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase of 16 weeks, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979. This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want is a great feeling. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
This episode is brought to you by Tic Tac. Summer tastes like Tic Tac. Tantalize your taste buds this sunny season with citrus adventure and orange. 2 everyday flavors that bring summer in every. Tic Tac Citrus Adventure is a yummy, vibrant medley of lemon, lime, and mandarin. And Tic Tac Orange is the perfect mix of tangy and sweet. Visit us at Tic Tac USA on social to refresh your summer with Tic Tac.
Hey there, travelers. Kaylee Cuoco here. Sorry to interrupt your music, great artist BT Dubs, but wouldn't you rather be there to hear it live? With Priceline, you can get out of your dreams and into your dream concert. They've got millions of travel deals to get you to that festival, gig, rave, sound bath, or sonic experience you've been dreaming of. Download the Priceline app today, and you can save up to 60% off hotels and up to 50% off flights. So don't just dream about that trip. Book it with Priceline.
Go to your happy price, Priceline.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. From streaming to shopping, Prime helps you get more out of your passions. So whether you're a fan of true crime or prefer a nail-biting novel from time to time, with services like Prime Video, Amazon Music, and fast free delivery, Prime makes it easy to get more out of whatever you're into or getting into. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to learn more.
Hey everyone, Krista Makes here. And I've got some exciting news. Krista Makes a Podcast is now on Patreon. Your support is what keeps this show going, allowing us to bring you deep dives into amazing songs from incredible artists every week. When you join our Patreon at KristaMakes.com, you'll get instant access to hundreds of episodes of The After Party, our weekly bonus show where producer Chris Fafalius and I talk music history, trivia, tour stories, classic albums, and whatever else comes to mind. Plus, you'll get early ad-free episodes of Krista Makes a Podcast, unedited video versions of each episode, and, of course, a brand new episode of The After Party every single week. If our show brings you a little joy, help us keep it going strong for just a couple bucks a month at KristaMakes.com. Not ready to commit? No problem. You can sign up for a free membership while you decide. Thanks so much, everyone, and I hope to see you all at The After Party.
As we near the end of the show, here's a band you might not know.
Welcome to this week's Band You Might Not Know. If you'd like your band to be considered for Krista Makes a Podcast, email your best song via MP3 only and a short bio to bandyoumighttnotknow@gmail.com. This week's featured artist is Kay Williams from Seattle, Washington. He's released 2 EPs, a full-length, and several singles, and is currently playing local shows around Seattle and writing new music. Here's a snippet of his song, Delete Me.
I've been missing this and that, demons going to
The Rap with Chris and Chris.
So, Chris, there have been a lot of songs about the music business that are great songs over the years. Video Killed the Radio Star. That's Sarah Bareilles' I'm Not Gonna Write You a Love Song, if you know that. That's a song about the music business. Radio from Elvis Costello. Of course, there's a huge one in the 90s. Sellout from Real Big Fish. David Bowie fame. Tom Petty, Into the Great Wide Open. So this is not an odd thing for someone to write a song about. And this is just another great example of an awesome song that was inspired by the music industry itself.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine the headache that Elise and Karina went through. I mean, again, you know, record labels, they're always finding a way to sell records. And here you have two young ladies, attractive. They sing well, they dance. And I could imagine some of the conversations behind closed doors with, hey, put this outfit on. Hey, we're going to get you a stylist. It's like, no, we're a punk band. We just pulled up in a van. I don't need that.
Right. I can imagine. I mean, you didn't get into that too much, but I can just imagine. I mean, you're talking about right around the time when No Doubt hit.
Right.
So I'm sure that a lot of these conversations are happening.
Well, and Dance Hall is kind of the perfect band to bridge the gap into mainstream popularity, if you think about it, Chris, because on one hand, yeah, they got their hand in the punk, or their one foot in the punk rock world, but they're a pop band. Listen to those vocals, so it could be promoted like that, but then you put the brakes on and say, but we're not that kind of band.
Right. You got into it right away, Chris, about how the suits, as you call them, they're thinking about selling records. Most of them are thinking about selling records. And I feel like if you're writing music with the intention to sell records instead of just trying to make great music, isn't that a formula for failure, or am I wrong? Do I just have like a pie in the sky sort of attitude towards music? And it probably does work sometimes, right?
Well, I think a perfect example, and we've had Mark on the show, is talking about Every Morning from Sugar Ray. That song got a heck of a push. Yeah, it's a great song, but that was the sophomore follow-up. The hey, guys, we got to write another fly. We got to write another hit. And it doesn't always work. Sometimes it does, though, in that instance. So, what is a hit song? What makes a star? And Elise got into that. She said there's a big difference between having a career in music and being a pop sensation.
I personally got to think, and this isn't necessarily from personal experience, just in general, I got to think that you got to write songs from the heart and think way less about like what's commercially appealing or something. I think that more than 99% of the time that has to not work. I got to believe that in my heart.
It doesn't. By the time you jump on that bandwagon, it's already over with. By the time you release it 6 months later, it's a dated sound, or it's a has-been sound, right?
Exactly. That's my point. Yeah. If you're trying to emulate what is popular, you're already too late. You also got into, and for liking Dancehall Crashers for this long, I didn't realize that there were siblings in the band. I feel like a bad fan or something, but once again, you talked about that sort of bond that siblings have. And boy, oh boy, have there been a lot of bands with siblings in them. The Bee Gees, Van Halen, the Breeders, the Jackson 5, the Jesus and Mary Chain, AC/DC. We could go on. And there is something, I guess, sort of built into your being when you play music with a sibling?
I mean, yeah, I know you're an only child, Chris, but my brother and I know what he's going to say before he says it. You just, and we're not even twins. You get into the twin factor of the Interrupters, and then they have the third brother on guitar. It's just, it's incredible. There's something about that bloodline, that DNA, that shared lifeline that you have that does something. And, what you just said about not only other band members, they were kind of overshadowed, I think, by the two lead singers, and Elise kind of agreed. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just what became of it.
Did you guys allude to the fact that, is it Jason, the guitarist of Dancehall Crashers?
Yeah, Jason and his brother Gavin plays drums.
Did you allude to the fact that he might wing it to a certain extent when he's playing solos and stuff in the studio?
Well, there's some guys you can tell that are just players. You can just tell they're naturally great. And this was recorded to tape. I didn't think that Stoker was cutting tape and making his solos, putting them together. I just felt that he was a player, and he's that kind of guy that can just go hit record and I'll put something together. I can't do that.
I was gonna say, I didn't know whether she confirmed that happened here. I think you were just inferring that from his style and stuff, and from the fact that he's a ripper. But
that's correct.
But I wanted to say that, I agree with you. It's wild to me to think about just winging it when I'm tracking. I'm like you. I'm a good bassist, man, but I want time to rehearse and know exactly what I'm going to play, and I want to nail it. I can't imagine improvising while I'm tracking.
No.
Maybe vocals I would improvise, not bass.
I'll tell you what's hard, though, with what you and I do is that, man, I've been stuck on a part. I've been playing something for 6 months. Now I'm in the hot seat, and the first thing the producer picks out that he wants me to change is that chord, how I've been playing it. Why? Oh, you should phrase it up here. Oh, man, that throws me for a loop. You want to get me angry? Do that to me in the studio.
Dude, when we were recording this latest Punchline album, which isn't even out yet, but there was one bass part in a song where it was something that, like, as a team, we all came together and like, okay, do that. Like, really, it wasn't just me, it was everybody. And then I had to sit there and try to play this complex thing, and just, man, was it intense and nerve-wracking. And I don't need a lot of time, but I need to go by myself for 10 minutes and work it out, not do that in front of other people, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just an intense experience.
It is, and I've had to learn to kind of be more on the fly and open my mind up to, hey, that part you've been rehearsing for 6 months, it might not end up on the record. You have to be You have to be malleable in that situation. You have to be
instead of playing that thing you've been playing for 6 months, play this thing you've been playing for 3 minutes.
Yeah, and make it sound good because it's going to be on recording forever. And if you want to hear more recordings from Chris and I, how about that segue?
There you go.
Head over to ChrisDemakes.com where you can join our Patreon. We got a couple cool things coming up with the Patreon, Chris, and we just appreciate everyone's support. Keeps the lights on over here. You get bonus episodes of the after party each week and all kinds of cool stuff. You can maybe join us, like I said, for an after party, ChrisDemakes.com. And please keep those 5-star Apple reviews coming. I know Chris has one ready to go for us. I hope the name's good.
Yeah, this one is actually Brosif Smith. Brosif Smith. I don't know if that's a reference to Joseph Smith, who I think was like the founder of Mormonism. Is that right?
We'll go with that.
Okay. Brosif Smith wrote, "My favorite podcast," gave us 5 stars, and said, "I've been listening to this podcast for about 2 years now, and it never gets old. If you grew up listening to punk or ska, then you will immediately love this podcast. But you don't have to just be a fan of punk/ska to enjoy it. People that love music in general will really appreciate hearing the songwriting process and even learn new concepts about music and songwriting."
Nice.
Yeah.
Brosif.
Yeah, Brosif, thanks for the review. And if you like punk and ska, you probably really like this month of the podcast in particular, because this has been a very punk and ska heavy month leading up to the Less Than Jake tour. I mean, I know Dancehall Crashers isn't on that tour, but what a perfect episode to add to this punk and ska heavy month.
Yeah, why not keep the party going? And that Summer Circus with Less Than Jake. The tour is happening Saturday, June 7th. It starts in Atlanta, Georgia with Suicide Machines, Fishbone, and Bite Me Bambi. Tickets still available at lessthanjake.com. Want to thank Elise Rogers for taking time out to sit in with us, and we'll see you next week. Hey friends, have you been loving Krista Makes a Podcast? Well, spread the love by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't hesitate to share what you enjoy about the show in an actual written review on Apple Podcasts. Not only does it help more people discover us, but we often read reviews in the wrap segment of the show. It's a quick, cost-free way to support us and takes just a minute of your time. Your reviews mean the world to us and help us keep the podcast thriving. Thank you for being a listener, and thank you for being a friend.